Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Tech Talk. Today's session, I have chosen my topic as Xunit and Microsoft Testing Framework, an introduction and a comparative analysis. And today, in this session, I'm going to give an overall idea about the Xunit testing framework and its features. And also, I'm going to compare the Xunit with existing testing frameworks for .NET. And also, I'm going to discuss some pros and cons with comparing to other testing frameworks that is already using with the .NET. And also, I need to tell, but the most of the content of this Tech Talk will be based on the Xunit. So, right, without further ado, we will jump into the agenda today. So, as the first topic, I'm going to give a brief introduction about the Xunit and MS Test unit testing frameworks. And for this one, you will get a brief understanding about what are these testing frameworks and what they will be used. And getting the second topic, I'm going to have a look at how we are getting started with Xunit, how we create unit test projects with Xunit enabled unit test project, and this will contain a little bit of demo as well. And then we are going to discuss about basic concepts of Xunit, and at the meantime, I'm going to show you some written test cases using Xunit, and finally, we are going to compare Xunit with Microsoft Test Framework. Okay. So as the first thing, we need to identify or we need to get to know about what is Xunit and MS Test. So in the world of .NET development, there are several popular testing frameworks that developers can choose from to write automated tests for their application. There is one of these three. Actually, I have mentioned two here, Xunit, MS Test, and I have added the image of NUnit. These three are the most well-known frameworks that are widely using with .NET framework. So actually, when talking about the Xunit is an open source testing framework that was first released in 2008, and it was designed to be a modern and flexible alternative to existing testing framework in the .NET ecosystem. And actually, Xunit provides rich set of features for writing and executing tests, some unit tests. It is well known for its simplicity and ease of use actually. And on the other hand, the Microsoft Test, it is a testing framework. It was built into Microsoft Visual Studio development environment or the Visual Studio IDE. It has been around much longer than Xunit and have been first released as a part of Visual Studio 2005. Actually, Microsoft Test also provides similar set of features like Xunit. It is often favored by the developers who are already familiar with Visual Studio. And talking about the NUnit, it is also another popular unit testing framework for .NET based languages and .NET based frameworks. And it was mostly influenced by Java-based JUnit framework. So I guess you got a brief idea about what are those testing frameworks and what these testing frameworks are used for. So with having that knowledge in our mind, we can go to have a look at how we getting started with Xunit and how we write tests, how we create test projects using Xunit. So Xunit is not only for .NET framework. We can use Xunit with .NET Core as well and also with Xamarin. But in this particular Tech Talk, I'm going to discuss it's related to .NET framework. Actually, when talking about the ways we can use the Xunit is actually mainly we can identify two ways. We can use it through the command line if you don't have the Visual Studio. If you have the Visual Studio, you can use it through the Visual Studio. The plan is today, actually, I'm going to demonstrate my demo through the Visual Studio, and I'm planning to create some .NET test project for .NET framework, not for the .NET Core, using the Visual Studio. So I'll start my demo. So I have categorized the steps. So in my demonstration, I will go them one by one, and I will explain while going through the process. So first of all, I'm going to my Visual Studio, and yes, I'm going to create a fresh project, and I'm choosing this create a new project option. So after going to this nice environment, you can see UI, you can see three filters. In the language section, you have to choose C#, and this platform section, you have to choose Windows, and these project types, you have to select test. And you will get all the test type sample project types that are available in the Visual Studio. So if you're going to have a look at this sample project, we can see there is unit test project for .NET framework, but the project contains MS Test unit test. So this is not the Xunit one, but we have Xunit one, but it is for .NET Core. So unfortunately, or up to now, the Microsoft Visual Studio has not given a predefined project type for the Xunit. So our alternative is we can create starting with MS Test unit test, and then we have to convert this MS Test into a Xunit enabled testing project. So I am choosing this one and I give name. So everything looks good. And and I will create my project. Okay, it's creating. So as per the customizations I have selected, it should give me test project with already installed. The MS Test framework is already installed. So my next steps would be I have to add Xunit to my newly creating project, and also I have to uninstall or remove the existing MS Test packages from my project. Okay, I guess it will not take much longer time. Should be created, that's right. Until it is loading, I can go through the steps. So far we have followed step 1, step 2, step 3. We have to do the step 4, install Xunit. So it is taking some time than expected until it is creating. So I'm going to skip this part because we can jump into the project creation after it was created. So I'm going to go to my next topic under this Xunit, and we will jump again into this project creation after this project was created. Now we can directly jump into the basic concepts of Xunit. Actually, this Xunit and most Microsoft testing framework both are using these decorations to show or specifically identify the test methods and to test classes. So in particular related to the Xunit, we are using two decorators. They are called fact and theory. So first one is the fact. So fact, all the tests we are writing in Xunit, we need to add a decoration. Either it can be the fact or either theory. So fact is used for the test methods that have invariant conditions. That means we have some hard-coded values in here. If you get the example I have added in here, you can see I have added a small function here, and what I'm doing is I'm adding two integers, and I'm testing is the addition of these integers is equal to 8. If 8, the test should be passed, and not, test should be failed. So in this case, we can't give various inputs because in my function I don't have input parameters. It is hard coded, so that's why we are calling it is invariant. And so such cases, if we tell it in simple words, if we have input parameters in our test function, so we have to use theory. So with the theory decoration, it also allows us to use another decoration called inline data. Inline data is used to pass input parameters to our function. So in this particular example, I have done a small change to my previous function. I just added some input parameters, and I have added 3 inline data attributes to my function. And in the text explorer, I guess we can see the text explorer deeply in our demonstration. So however, you can see, as you see, there are 3 tests have triggered and 1 is passed, 1 is failed, because I have given one input parameter 3, 4, because it is addition of 3 and 4 will not equal to 8. So as a rule of thumb, when using decorators, if you have input parameters in your test function, you have to use theory. If not, you have to use fact. Then we come to another very important feature in the Xunit. So Xunit creates single instance for one test method. So, but in other unit testing frameworks, actually they are interfere with each other. They are creating the single instance of object in this execution. So to demonstrate this one, I have actually got an example from another resource, and the leftmost image you can see unit test, which was written by using NUnit framework. What we are doing there is actually it initializes an int variable to 0, and it has a test1 method. Test1, inside the test1 it increases by 1, and inside the test2 it also increases by another 1. Also in the middle image you can see the same test we have written with Xunit, and in observing the out you can see we have one failure. It is in NUnit test. The reason is NUnit uses the same instance for executing both test1 and test2 methods. It adds 1 in the test methods, and in my int become 1, and then again it adds another 1. Then it go to asserts and it become false because 2 is not equal to 1. But since Xunit creates one instance for one method, it always getting true. So this is something very important we have to keep in mind when working with Xunit. So actually this feature behaves as an advantage in some cases and as a disadvantage in some cases. So this is a such scenario. So some scenarios we have to share context or text context between tests. So in such cases, creating separate instances will not work. But Xunit have mitigated that issue and provided some alternatives. So this is one scenario. So some scenarios we have to use the same test context or same test data in two different test methods. So in that case, what we can do is we can initialize our test data inside our constructor. Also, I have implemented this one by iDisposable because I want to dispose my object after running my test. That's the reason I have implemented it by this iDisposable. However, I'm initializing my list named by as a number list in my constructor. And as you see, after initializing, both of these methods can use same data. Always it assures to use same data in every initialization of this object. So it is a simple scenario. Then we have a bit complex scenario. In this particular scenario, we need to use our same text context in different classes. So actually, this method is called, or this feature is called class fixture. It is used to create single text context and share it among all the tests in the classes, and also it cleans up after test is successfully running. So by following the previous method, I have created my class fixture text function, and I have implemented it using iDisposable, and I have created my constructor, and I have added SQL connection. I have created my SQL connection inside my constructor. So then my next requirement is I need to use this same SQL connection inside my database test class. So what I'm doing is I am creating my database test class, and actually Xunit provided interface called iClassFixture, and I need to implement my database test class from iClassFixture with the type of my parent class, which is ClassFixtureTest. And inside it, in the construct of my database test, I am passing an object of my parent class as its database or the parameter, DB fixture parameter. This is the method actually Xunit has provided in cases we need to use same text context in different classes, all the methods in a different classes. So as you see, you can use the same DB fixture in all methods in my DB test class. Unfortunately, we have only one method here, but we don't have methods. If you write anything, doesn't matter any number of methods, you can use the same text DB fixture. And the third and last fixture is actually it is used to create a single text context and share it test in among several classes. So for this one, in the topmost image, as you can see, I haven't done any change to my previous class. I have used my collection DB fixture class. So what I'm doing here is rather than using it in a single class, I am using it in several classes. I am using that fixture in database text class 1 and database text class 2. So for doing this one, we have to use the interface provided by Xunit called iCollectionFixture. So the image in the bottom, you can see I have created an empty class without a body. I have implemented it by iCollectionFixture, and I have added collection definition decorator as well. Actually, the whole purpose of this class is to place this collection definition decorator and to implement it by this iCollection interfaces. This class can be used by other test classes. So inside the collection definition, I need to give a unique name. So this unique name should be used by all of my other test classes which are going to use this DB collection class. So in that case, we have to use collection attribute. You can see it in the left image. I have used collection attribute, and I have used the same name as collection definition name. And then by following this method, Xunit ensures we can use the same DB collection in both DB test class 1 and DB test class 2. Okay, since my folder 1 is corrupted, I'm creating a solution. Yes, I'm using the previous one. Then customizations, .NET unit test framework using MS test unit test. To next, change the name. I'm creating, hopefully this will, this time it will create. Right. Okay, we are good now. So this is the MS test enable test project we have created, just given by the Visual Studio. If you're going into the package.config file here, you can see MS test packages are already in there. So we have to convert this into Xunit enable. So first we need to go to package manager, and we have to search for Xunit. We have the Xunit here. So we have to install Xunit. Along with this Xunit, it will install several other packages as well. Actually, they are related to Xunit. So we have installed Xunit, and now we can remove. Doesn't matter, we can keep this as well, but I guess because we are going to depend only on Xunit, not the MS test, so we can uninstall this MS test. So seems good, right? As you can see, the package file is updated with all Xunit packages, and I'm going to Xunit test. So I can see several errors here because we have removed MS Test Framework, and this is the namespace that used by MS Test Framework. So we need to remove this one, and we need to add Xunit testing framework namespace. We have Xunit, and in Xunit we don't have class level decorators. We only have method level decorators. So we don't have test method, and here I'm going to add an asset. For now I will add the simple asset 2. It will true always. So far I haven't added any decorator to my class or method. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going here and right clicking. There will be option to run test. I will click run test, and it will explore test explorer. And to see closely examine these 3 boxes, you can see 0 there. Because this framework is not identify any test methods. The reason is we haven't added that decorator. So we need to have that fact decorator here to identify this as a test method by Xunit. Then we can again run it. So now we can see our test method is identified as a test method. Also, although our test was not ran, so it states that one not run, but it identified it as a test method. The reason for this one is to make this runnable in using Xunit, we need another package. So this package also we need to add through the NuGet package manager. This is called Xunit Visual Studio Runner. Xunit Runner Visual Studio. So we can start this one. Okay, install. Right. So I'm again going to my test method, run my test. Will successfully? Yes. This time it was fast. So this is the basic case. So following these methods, you can convert MS test-based test projects into Xunit enabled. So you can create methods as you need, and you can use fact and theory decorators as you need. So yes, this is about starting the creating the project. So with that one, I can go to my next part. So as the last point, my presentation, I'm going to compare a bit about Xunit with MS Test. So as you see, if you closely examine the left column of the table, you can see at the bottom, some of the cases in MS Test, it doesn't have asset method, but Xunit, it has many asset methods. But actually, this is not the complete list of assets in Xunit. This is only some important functions I have only mentioned here. You can find the full list of assertions in the given link. And actually, as per the experts, this is one of the main reasons other than creating one object per one test. This high extensibility. This is one major advantage we can get with Xunit over Microsoft Testing Framework, because it has a rich set of asset functions, and we can get clear messages by using specific asset functions of Xunit. So, but to use that one, we have to get the knowledge about every asset function. So I guess it is possible because it is very easy for developers as well, because most types of operations, there is an asset available with the Microsoft Xunit testing framework. So with that point, I came to the end of my presentation. If you are really interested about Xunit and MS testing frameworks, you can refer to these references and you can explore more. I guess we are good to conclude the session for today. Thank you all for joining and your time. Have a good day.